What's going on, everybody? We're gonna get ready to get this show started in just a moment. Definitely got to do some talking as Minicamp has begun, and we're actually they've actually wrapped up day two of Minicamp, and we'll definitely give some thoughts on that as far as what was I expecting from Minicamp, and of course talking about some of the biggest battles, some of the concerns I may have going forward, going from mini camp and even going into training camp. So we're definitely going to talk about that. We're going to talk about expectations and also the top five players that needed to have a good mini camp as well. And then of course the big news happening on Monday with Justin Jefferson getting a big deal. We're definitely going to talk about that and what that could mean for the wide receiver market going forward. So we're going to get ready to get started. Hopefully everybody comes on in. As people come on in, make sure y'all share the show and everybody give a like the second you get on, and we'll get the show started in less than 60 seconds.
Call me a call me a call me a call me a Let's go. I'm about to go off like a weapon. Fuel to the top, got a filled up engine. In my thoughts, obsession. I will not stop, no, I'm never second guessing.
Good evening, Titan Nation. How's everybody
Good evening, Titan Nation. How's everybody doing? Welcome into another edition of TNT Tonight. I am your host, Chris, aka Blue Enforcer, aka The Truth, and we're gonna have a very fun episode for you on this evening. Definitely make sure y'all follow on all of the ways to get your information, whether it be on um right here on YouTube. Definitely make sure you follow me here, but also follow on Facebook at TNT Enforcers. Also on Instagram at Titan underscore in underscore truth. And then also on X at TNT Blue Enforcer. Make sure y'all follow me there. And definitely make sure that y'all go ahead and definitely follow. I'm definitely going to be sharing this show out actually right now as we speak. So I'm definitely going to make sure that we do that. Also, as you come in, make sure you give a like. Make sure you give a like on this show. Make sure you smash that like button for me. And then also, if you're new to the channel, go ahead and also subscribe to the channel as well. So hit that like button. Definitely help me out because it gets that out to everybody else to come on in and tune into the very best Titans podcast out there. And then also, if you're new to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, and in that way, you could definitely pick up whenever I do go live. Uh, you could definitely be a part of this show. Uh, you could definitely be a part. You'll know when I'm going live, and you'll be able to become one of the enforcers, become a big part of this show, and I would be glad to have you. So definitely come on in, and we're gonna have a really, really good time. And again, I'm sharing the show out as we speak. Uh, that way that you know where to come on in and be a part of the family. So I am doing that right now. So definitely come on in. And also, you can find me on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts from. Definitely go ahead and do that. and then that way, you'll be able to, if you gotta, catch it later or something like that, finish catching on to it, you could definitely do it there as well. So definitely do appreciate everybody coming in. And of course, super chats are also appreciated. I definitely do thank everybody for those as well. Whatever, because it helps the channel, it helps me, and it helps make sure I put on a good product for all of you, because we're, doing things a little bit differently. And we got some things that are going to be coming around the bend very, very soon. Um, some new things that's going to be happening and stuff like that. So definitely make sure y'all are come be a part of that. But training camp has indeed begun. It has begun, and there's definitely guys fighting for roster spots. There are guys, fighting for starting spots and everything, and that's the nature of this mini camp and of training camp, because it's time to decide who's gonna make this team and who's gonna make an impact, who's gonna do the big things. So that's what this is all about, and it's definitely gonna be something to look forward to, and definitely gonna be a lot of fun to experience. So like I said, mandatory minicamp started yesterday, and is continuing today, and it'll also continue tomorrow. And then after that, I think they'll have a couple of more practices next week, June 10th through the 13th. And then after June 13th, the players are out of here. They are gone. They will be gone until, I would say, the probably towards the end of July, and that's when it gets real. That's when it's game time. So after next week, the 13th, the players get about a month and a half off. You better enjoy those 6 weeks. 6 weeks off. Because after those 6 weeks is over, it's on and popping. After that, there is no more days off. We are going in from the end of July. I probably might take some time off myself. But once that late July, once training camp hits from July all the way through to the end of through January, through the Super Bowl, it is on and popping. I guarantee you that it's going to be all out once everything comes once they come back and start training camp. So that's what that's what's coming up. So, you know, if you're ready for football season like I am, you better go ahead, enjoy your vacations, and enjoy your vacations, get with your family, and have some fun. And then after that, come on back in, because it's time to go to work. It's time for it's tighten up time. And so that's what it's gonna be about at the end of the day. So I'm looking forward to it and everything. So definitely looking forward to that. But minicamp is in. Brian Callahan did speak. Denard Wilson also spoke today as well, and said some very interesting things. And I know that with Brian, this is his first mini camp, and this is his first year as a head coach and everything right now. So I know a lot of things are a lot different. And the thing again that I like when it comes to Brian Callahan and this staff is they are a lot more transparent. They're a lot more transparent. They're a lot more willing to talk, a lot more willing to open. We got Miss Jackie up in here, my boy Morocco. Yeah, you know what it is. Yeah, mother sucker. You know what time it is. Yes, indeed. We got Titan South in LA. That's what I'm talking about. Rocky boy. Yeah, Denard had his defense ready. I agree with that. But, Callahan and the crew very much more transparent. They're definitely, willing to talk. They're willing to at least, they're not gonna, of course, divulge everything, but they're at least willing to give you something, which is more than I could have said for the previous regime. Because Vrabel gave you absolutely nothing. He would not really want to talk and, could be kind of standoffish. Brian Callahan is not like that at all, and I appreciate it. But he definitely complimented everybody. He talked about Will Levis and that he's made some tremendous strides in the last few months. Nick Holtz, the offensive coordinator, of course, echoed that as well, as that Will Levis is definitely, has taken a hold of this offseason and has really stepped up, even though Will Levis may have had a little bit of a rough day in the red zone. Definitely with that. Of course, something else that they talked about, Traylon Burks. They definitely talked about Traylon Burks ad nauseum. Basically saying he's going to have to, do something on special teams now if he's going to, have any impact, because it's like you only have so many hats that you got to have for game day. You have a 53-man roster, but only 46 can dress for game day. So if Traylon Burks wants to get on the field, he's going to have to make an impact in a different way, aside just being a receiver. He's going to have to do some work on special teams and everything. So that's something that he's going to have to get to. And Denard Wilson, he said something that just, literally made my heart sing and probably could make me cry if I was just extremely super emotional. And, he basically said, and TD basically said from Denard Wilson, this is at T Davenport _ NFL from my guy Teron Davenport. He said on Twitter, two things that stood out from Titans DC Denard Wilson. It's clear he understands the importance of an interior pass rush. Wilson said he wants to make sure they don't give quarterbacks a lane to step up in the pocket. And here's the kicker. Here is the one that just does it for me. Free releases at the line of scrimmage for wide receivers irritate Wilson. He wants to make sure that cornerbacks press and cause disruption at the line of scrimmage. No more lining up 8 yards off the ball on 3rd and 6. When I tell you, I literally want to go to Nashville and just give a big pro hug to Denard Wilson for that. I'm like, yes! It's like it's about time. Somebody gets it. Somebody finally gets it. Because for the last 6 years, and even further back than that, it was an age-old question. Why in the world are our cornerbacks playing so far off the ball? Because I'm going to keep saying, you either get up in the man's face or you play about 3 to 5 yards off the ball. I was so sick and tired of seeing us going at least 7 to 10 yards way off the ball all the time. Like he said, it could be 3rd and 3 and we're playing 10 yards off the ball. It's like you're giving them yards. You're giving them first downs. You're making it easy. Even I could do that. Even I could make a throw in that particular situation if you do that. If it's 3rd and 3 and you're 8 yards off, all I got to do is get 4 yards in and a quick curl, bang, first down. That's easy. So I'm like, it's about time that there's a defensive coach that gets it. And Denard Wilson clearly gets it. And I hope whoever his successor is does the same thing, because Denard Wilson, granted, judging by how this defense does, I think is going to be a head coach most likely next year, definitely within the next 2 years. He's going to be a head coach. I guarantee you that. Jackley said he must have watched us do that on tape. I think so. Die War Height. Okay, what's up? Yo, what's going on? But finally it's great to see a defensive coach that gets it. Denard Wilson gets it. Mike Vrabel clearly did not. Shane Bowen clearly did not. They did not get it. And it was painful to watch every year of that happening with our defense. It's like easy, easy curls, easy slants. I mean, we were just making it easy for quarterback. That's why our third down defensive percentage was a record back in 2021, giving up almost 50% third down conversion, which was the worst in NFL history. I believe it was 46.9 to be exact. But Denard Wilson gets it. He understands that you got to get up in that wide receiver's face, disrupt, make him beat you over the top on the outside and say, hey, make him 50-50 balls and things like that. So that was extremely refreshing to hear and everything. Of course, the coach is definitely complimenting Calvin Ridley. Definitely been looking good. There's been quite a few guys that have just absolutely starred so far in this offseason. We're going to get to that in just a bit. But what are my expectations? What are my expectations? My expectation is I want to see a team that's hungry. I want to see different. And it sounds like that's what we're heading towards. We're heading towards much more of a passing offense. We're heading much more towards a more aggressive defense. And it's like Denard Wilson has basically told you, hey, this is how it's gonna be. It's not always, as Vrabel would say, well, it's always different game to game, and we'll make adjustments as we go along, because there, of course, in-game adjustments wasn't that great. It really wasn't. It kind of sucked, if you asked me. So is that what am I looking for as far as position battles? You know, one thing I'm definitely want to pay attention to is position battles. Who's going to start on the right side of the offensive line? I'm going to give y'all my top 3 positions I'm going to be paying the most attention to. Number 1 is the right side of the offensive line. Who's going to be starting at right guard? Who's going to be starting at right tackle? The coaches have definitely raved about Sadiq Charles, so it looks like he might be the front runner right now for the right guard spot. Daniel Brunskill is trying to make a comeback in a way. Dylan Radins is looking a lot bigger. I really think they're doing a bit of a disservice to Dylan Radins. I know that, Brian Callahan and Bill Callahan really see him as a guard. And so, I do think that Radins does have a chance at right guard. We're definitely going to see. So I do think Brunskill could be like that swing offensive lineman. And then Dylan Radins could be the backup if Sadiq Charles wins the job, or Dylan Radins might win the job. So I could definitely see that. I feel a little bit better about the right guard battle than I do about the right tackle battle. The right tackle battle is what scares the crap out of me, because I really don't think I'm not really huge on NPF or Jalen Duncan. NPF, of course, still recovering from the shoulder injury that put him out last season, and he hasn't been able to practice at all. Jalen Duncan, it does sound like he's at least been out there. But the guy that even Brian Callahan has mentioned, and I saw this on Titans Wire, that has surprised everybody is John Ojukwu, or as Vrabel used to call him, J.O.J. OJ was what he called him. I mean, Callahan has basically said, he is, definitely been a surprise with how things have been coming along with him. And that, he definitely seems like he has a legitimate chance at that right tackle spot. And so I'm trying to bring up um, something that he said about JOK and and everything. But he basically said that he's stepping up with other guys hurt. Yeah, Callahan revealed he has been surprised by second-year tackle John Ojukwu. He has been getting first-team reps at right tackle with Petit Ferrer at Duncan's sideline. He's doing everything that you would want a player in that situation to do. Takes it very seriously. Outstanding in the meeting room. He's taken the scheme and he's learned it. I've really been surprised. He's a guy that I didn't know much about, and he's got more opportunities. He started to show up. So that's Brian Callahan basically saying it's been a pleasant surprise with OJ. He is definitely impressed with Petit Ferrer, with or as Jared Stillman likes to call him, PT, and Duncan being on the sideline. Ms. Jackson said, whatever Raiders do, he needs to pipe down on his penalties this year. Yes, that is very true. That is one thing that Dylan Raiders definitely is gonna have to do. You got to cut out the pre-snap penalties. I definitely agree. Amar says, Big OJ. Levis has struggled in camp. Do you think it's a concern, or do we need to wait till camp to get a full picture? I mean, today he kind of struggled, especially in the red zone. I think I want to say Tuesday he had a little bit better of a day and things like that. But yeah, today was a little bit of a struggle for him, and everything. But he's gonna have to pick it up because he's gonna have to be the glue that makes this whole team go. I mean, it's gonna be on Levis's shoulders to take us to victory. So that's gonna be extremely important. Di Warhite says, I'm liking y'all chances with a new coach this year. Definitely getting farther this year than y'all would have if y'all had kept that bum as y'all head coach. I agree 100%, Di Warhite. I agree 100% because, the thing about it is, again, Callahan just seems to relate better to the players. He relates better to the players. Again, he's more open, more transparent. It's a little bit more free. Players are like, we can be ourselves. With Vrabel, he was more like a drill sergeant. He was more like, you gotta do it this way, you gotta do it that way, and that sucks. Drop down and give me 20. Something like that, like a drill sergeant. I mean, he reminded me of another historical figure, and I'm not going to give his name, but this same military strategist was on the verge of ruling the world, but he got arrogant. He fell in love with his own legend and started making mistakes because he thought he knew better than everybody. That was what Vrabel was doing. Vrabel, was coming up, and then, get to the AFC Championship and things like that. And really, ever since the playoff game, before the playoff game against Cincinnati, it just seemed like Vrabel was starting to fall in love. Vrabel was in love with his own legend that he thought he was becoming. He got arrogant. He thought that he was bigger than the team. He tried to make it more about himself than about the team. And that, You know, I'm better than, trying to shout, basically shouting to the media, to the fan. I'm better than you. I know more than you do. You don't know football. I do. Leave the football to the real professionals. That's just kind of the aura he gave off. And it really rubbed a lot of people, myself included, the wrong way. And so I wasn't going to say that historical name. Don Warhart knew who I was referring to. And the thing about it is, I'm not saying he's exactly like that person. He just has some characteristics similar. Again, arrogant, fell in love with his own legend, thought he knew more than everybody else. And that's what eventually led to Vrabel's downfall. So that's what that was. It led to his downfall. So Don Warhart knew exactly who I was talking about, and everything. I didn't say, I'm not comparing people to people, person to person. I'm just saying little characteristics. There were a few like that. So, um, Calvin Jeffrey Brown says, tighten up, ready for these 3 months to go by. I know that's right. So that's what happened with that. Burks is another thing. Um, and I gotta mention the other positions in a minute. The other positions I'm thinking about, I'll get to Burks in a minute. The other position that I'm thinking about, and this one really kind of just came to me, is defensive back. And I'm not talking about up top. I'm not talking about Snead. I'm not talking about Awuzie or Roger McCreary. I'm talking about behind them. Depth. Now, Elijah Moe can play corner and safety, although he hasn't done well at either. But who's going to step up behind those three guys? Because if Awuzie, Snead, or McCreary go down, who do we have? Now, one guy's name that has started to come up a lot, who's been kind of making some notice, is Gabe Judy, the undrafted free agent from University of Tennessee, one of the former Vols. He's a guy that's starting to really make some noise in training camp. He's an undrafted free agent who I think actually has a legitimate chance to make this team. I think he definitely has a chance to make this roster, without a doubt. And I've been definitely hearing his name quite a bit throughout OTAs and training camp. So I am definitely very impressed with that, and hopefully that continues to grow with him and everything. But I mean, he's a guy that is definitely stepping up, making waves. I mean, what are we gonna see with Caleb Farley? That's gonna be another question. Caleb Farley, I mean, Denard Wilson said he's a guy that puts a smile on his face. Only problem is Caleb Farley's had some of his struggles. He's had some of his struggles, and it is definitely apparent, that he's just now getting back on the field. I don't know if he loves football. That's the thing I worry about with Caleb Farley. Does he love football? Now, Big Dog does mention Jarvis Brownlee. What up, Big Dog? And Jarvis Brownlee, I know he dealt with an injury as well, but it looks like he's back out there and everything. So that's something, that we got to take a look at as far as who's going to be behind those top three guys at corner and who's going to be our starting free safety. Because right now we don't have a free safety. Now, Big Dog said put Caleb Farley at free safety. Well, Brian Callahan, Denard Wilson have already nipped that in the bud. They have basically said he's not changing positions, that he's going to be a corner. That's where they're going to keep him at. They're going to keep him at corner. They're not moving him to safety. Maybe at least not right now. Because, I mean, I believe this is year 4. Okay. Okay. Just trying to make sure everything is all right. But yeah, I mean, I believe this is Caleb Farley going into year 4. So I mean, he's got a lot of catching up to do. A whole lot of catching up to do. And it does not look good for him at all. You know, he was drafted in 2021. So 2021, came in early, missed the entire season. 2022, pretty much been out the whole season. 2023, this is year 4 for him. And I believe they've already not picked up his 5th-year option. So this is it for him. Like Traylon Burks, who we're going to get to, this is his last chance. Very last chance. So we got to see who's going to be at safety, or is Marcus May or Justice Simmons, who are still available out there, going to come in and be the starting free safety? Can they pick up this defense really fast? So that's another position. The last position is inside linebacker. Big Dog mentioned James Williams from Miami. It's was a safety, but they have moved him to linebacker. And so we know Kenneth Murray, the free agent signing from the LA Chargers, is going to be one of the starters. But who's going to be on the other side? Right now, my guess would be Cedric Gray, the 4th-round rookie out of North Carolina. I think has a distinct lead over the rest, because he's the guy that I've heard so much about in the offseason since being drafted. Now, Gibby, Dr. Gibby, Jack Gibbons, is starting to make some waves. He's definitely been like a leader. He's definitely been trying to kind of help Cedric Gray along and things like that. But Cedric Gray has been making some good plays in coverage, which is a good thing, and he might become the leader of the defense. He's definitely one that could definitely make an impact very, very early. And then James Williams, is definitely getting some looks at inside linebacker as well. So, I mean, you got Gibby, you got Cedric Gray, you got Williams. You also have Otis Reese. You got Chance Campbell. Some of these guys trying to do some work inside at linebacker, and that's going to be a position that's going to be extremely, extremely important as far as definitely trying to help this defense. An honorable mention, I want to say, is edge rusher. And I'm talking about particularly behind Harold Landry. I mean, I need to see more from Arden Key, because I really wasn't impressed with Arden Key's first year. And then also, of course, again, like Caleb Farley, this is Rashard Weaver's last chance as well. Rashard Weaver's got to step up and really earn that third edge rusher spot, so that way you could give Harold Landry or Arden Key a breather and still bring some pressure off the edge. Weaver had some moments, but then he also kind of disappeared at times. Some other guys, Caleb Murphy, Jalen Harrell, the 7th-round rookie out of Michigan, are a couple of other guys that could definitely play a part in that. But edge rusher, I think, is an honorable mention spot that I am going to be paying attention to. Traylon Burks, as you know, has not really been effective. He has been largely ineffective. I mean, this is going into year 4, and I believe, out of 3 seasons where he could have played, um, 40, I want to say 50 career games he could have played, has only played in 22 career games. He's missed a lot of time. And in that time, only has 49 catches and 1 touchdown in his entire Titans career. That's not good. That's not good at all. And, right now, that's why we had to go get DeAndre Hopkins. That is why we had to go get Calvin Ridley and Tyler Boyd. In his entire career, I mean, you take a look at his entire career. Now, this is his third season. This is his third season, not his fourth. But this is basically his last chance. I mean, he's only played in 11 games each of the first 2 years. And that is out of a possible 48 games. I mean, I'm sorry, out of a possible 34 games. Forgive me, my math is a bit off. But out of a possible 34 career games, he's only played in 22. Only has 49 receptions, 1 touchdown in 2 years. Tyler Boyd had more stats than that in last year alone. He had over 60 catches, more than the yards than Burks, and had 2 TDs. Some of the rookie receivers had that and not even in half the season. So that's not good. Best ability is availability, and he hasn't been available. He had the turf toe, had the knee injury, has been knocked out with concussions twice. So I don't know if he's even built to survive. So now, because you have D-Hop, now that you have Calvin Ridley, you have Tyler Boyd, he's relegated to basically being the 4th wide receiver. And now Brian Callahan and crew are basically saying he's going to have to earn his way on the team through special teams, which is something Treylon Burks has never done. And this is the only way he might be able to be suited up on game day. This means there are chances Burks could be healthy scratch. We know Nick Westbrook-Akina can play special teams and has done it pretty well. Kyle Phillips could do the same thing. He could be a kickoff or punt returner, which I would not put him back there as a punt returner. I know that for a fact. And also, you got to mention a guy like Jaquan Jackson, who has been getting noticed. Could be a kickoff or punt returner as well. So he's getting some work in the kick return game. But that's about the only way he's going to make the team, and that is extremely disappointing. He was supposed to be a guy that would be doing what D-Hop did last year. Like, if Burks had stepped up and been more of a guy, we wouldn't need Calvin Ridley. But since he's never been on the field, we had to go get a Calvin Ridley. So it's extremely disappointing. But for Treylon Burks, like Caleb Farley, this is his last chance. He's going to have to bring it, because if he doesn't, he's going to be out. And that much is a fact. And so now I want to give y'all my top 5 players that I think need to have a good mini camp. One is Treylon Burks. We've just talked about him. The second guy I want to mention is Kyle Phillips. Because again, Tyler Boyd has kind of made Kyle Phillips obsolete in a way. Has definitely made Kyle Phillips obsolete. Tyler Boyd is basically taking Kyle Phillips' spot. So Phillips is going to have to show up on special teams and not drop the ball, pretty much. He hasn't been available either, which is a problem. Rashard Weaver, all these guys are guys I've already mentioned. Rashard Weaver, you got to show that you can at least be a third edge rusher. Gibby, are you going to be able to become a starter, or is Cedric Gray for the pass you by? And then Caleb Farley, which I don't think Treylon Burks or Caleb Farley are going to long not just for this team. I don't think they're going to be long for this league. I think Traylon Burks will get an opportunity elsewhere, and he might actually shine elsewhere, which again would be a testament not to this coaching staff, but to the previous coaching staff of how dumb they were. And probably to John Robinson as well. But Caleb Farley, I don't even know if he'll latch on to another team. He might be like Jake Locker and just be like, after his contract is up, going off into the sunset and never play football again. So these are my top 5 players that I think need to have a good mini camp, and we've talked about each of them in pretty nice detail. Another thing that's happened, T'Vondre Sweat signed yesterday. So now all draft picks have been signed. All 7 of our draft picks are signed and in camp. Nobody's holding out. But we're going to talk about potential holdouts in just a minute. Although I don't like the fact that T'Vondre Sweat hasn't been practicing a lot. I know that that they're saying he's dealing with some type of small injury. Could be ready even next week, but definitely be ready to go for training camp. They're being a little cautious. They don't really have to give a lot of information on injuries right now. So right now, I'm honestly not worried. I'm honestly not worried about T'Vondre Sweat. I think he'll be fine. And the thing about it is, it's not a premium position. Yes, interior defensive line is starting to become a big-time interior position. Thank you, Aaron Donald, for that. That's why Big Jeff is getting paid over $24 million a year. It's a big time. It's starting to become a premium position. And so, but right now, I'm not worried. I'm not worried about T'Vondre Sweat not being there yet. As long as he's there ready to go in training camp and doesn't miss any time during camp, we should be okay. And speaking of draft picks, definitely shout out to J.C. Latham. I mean, Latham is starting to grow on me, y'all. And I've been saying that, but I need to see him in pads either against our own guys and also against other competition. If I see some good there, then it's like I might finally get sold. Because I know quite a few of y'all have been asking me, am I sold on J.C. Latham? Not yet. Not yet. So all picks are signed, and that's a good thing. But the last thing I want to mention, and this was breaking news on Monday, and this is not Titans related because we don't have anybody holding out. But I will mention what the Titans should do going up in the future. And that's Justin Jefferson breaking the bank. 4-year, $140 million contract extension with the Minnesota Vikings. With the most guarantee, he has become now the highest paid non-quarterback player in NFL history. More guaranteed money than anybody else. A.J. Brown got $84 million guaranteed on his last contract. Justin Jefferson, of the $140 million, is getting $110 million guaranteed. $110 million guaranteed. And guess how much money he's getting the second he signed that contract? He got $88.7 million dropped in his lap the second he signed. He gets $88 million off top. Before he even steps on the field for training camp, he already got $88 million, almost $89 million in the bank. And he still has another $22 million in guaranteed, another $22 million guaranteed that he's got. That is insane money. And he has truly reset the market. He is the highest paid non quarterback player in NFL history. Nick Bosa's making $34 million. Justin Jefferson just passed that. So now the going rate is $35 million a year. And reports coming out in Dallas, and this is not only making certain players happy, probably making them unhappy with their current teams. Now that this is happening in Minnesota, looking at you, Jerry Jones, down in Dallas. CeeDee Lamb wasn't at mandatory minicamp. He's looking for a new deal. Looking at you, John Lynch, out there in the Bay Area. Brandon Ayuk. You already re-signed Deebo Samuel. Brandon Ayuk looking for some money. Mike Brown up in Cincinnati. In Cincinnati, they got major problems. One, you're already dealing with an issue with T. Higgins. Got him on the franchise tag, and he wants a contract extension. That or trade him. T. Higgins has asked for a trade twice, which Jared Stillman and a few others have been talking about possibly seeing about going ahead and get T. Higgins. Trade D-Hop for T. Higgins, which I don't know if I would necessarily go for that, but I mean, if there's a way to get T. Higgins and it doesn't kill you, I mean, I'm not gonna necessarily be against that. But that's not the only problem Cincinnati has. There's another guy on the Cincinnati Bengals that's waiting to get his bag too. And he's gonna get the bag. And that man's name is Jamar Chase. He gonna get that bag. He definitely is worth $35 million or more. CeeDee Lamb, I don't think is as good as Justin Jefferson. I can see him over 30, maybe like 32, 33. Brandon Ayuk, I can see about around that range too. But Jamar Chase gonna get the bag. And if he ain't getting it from Cincinnati, he gonna get it from somebody. But Cincinnati knows they better give it to him. Because one thing they do not want to do is piss off Joe Cool. Do not piss off smoking Joe Burrow. Burrow got his 55 million. You don't think he's going to be pissed off if they don't sign his boy, his best friend Jamar Chase? Joe Burrow going to be like, give that man his money. So, CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Ayuk, Jamar Chase could be in for some huge paydays in the very near future. Because now that's the going rate. It's going up. The prices are always going up. It's inflation. It ain't prices going down. For a quarterback, for a premier quarterback, $55 million is the floor. For a wide receiver, the floor is $35 million. For a big-time defensive player, $34 million. For a big-time corner, I want to say big-time corner maybe like 22, 23 million a year for a big-time corner. Looking at Sauce Gardner, who's probably going to get major money soon. And another guy I didn't even think about, Garrett Wilson in New York with the Jets. Maybe not this year, but I think after next year, he going to be looking for the bag too. Chris Olave, they going to be looking for the bag. So, Justin Jefferson, woo-wee, has set the market ablaze. And like Miss Jackie said, talk about securing the bag. And he sure did. Yeah, would suck for them if he pulled a Michael Thomas. He could. Like I said, CD Lamb is going to want more. Yep. Lamb, Ayuk, and Jamar Chase are going to want more. Die Warhite says, I wouldn't mind if they traded him to my Saints. I mean, Saints, y'all got to pay Chris Olave eventually. Y'all got to pay him. What are y'all going to do with Alvin Kamara? I mean, what are y'all going to do? What's up with Marshawn Lattimore? Tyrann Mathieu said, would love to acquire Mr. T. I mean, we going to see. It's going to be a very interesting next 7 weeks. But I'm trying to think of anything else I could think of before we do get out of here. Definitely, you know what? There is something. A blue bombshell that I kind of want to drop. And this is because I want to give respect. I want to give respect to the men and women of our military, especially our army, our vets, our World War II vets, because overseas in France, which I believe over there it is tomorrow, it is July the 6th. For us here in the United States, tomorrow will mark 80 years since D-Day in World War II. D-Day happened June 6, 1944. 80 years ago was when the United States led the largest land, air, and sea invasion of a foreign country in the history of this world. Well over 150,000 U.S. troops landed on that beach in Normandy and helped not only liberate the country of France, but all of Europe from Nazi Germany, and basically helped win the war, helped liberate France, helped defeat Italy, eventually cornering Hitler in, and Hitler took his own life. And that actually ended at least all war in Europe. Then, of course, later on in 1945, we had to finish off Japan. So, of course, the President Biden, is in France right now, and many of the last surviving World War II veterans are in France to commemorate, in Normandy, commemorating D-Day. So I definitely want to tip my hat to all the military. I want to salute the military and salute anybody who has family who are World War II veterans. I thank you for your service. I thank you for your sacrifice and helping to make this country free. Even though I have my views about certain things going on with the government right now, you will never ever hear me disrespect the military, because a lot of them have made the ultimate sacrifice to ensure our freedom. Without those men and without those women who suffered through that, a lot of us would not be here. So I definitely give respect to our U.S. military. Thank you so much for what you have done. And on that note, once again, I want to say thank you, everybody. I want to thank you for 1,400 subscribers and more. I am almost closing in on 1,500. I am about maybe 70 shy of 1,500. So please help me get to that point. Help me get to 1,500. So I would definitely appreciate all of you. And at the end of the day, I say thank you, everybody, for tuning in to TNT Tonight. I'm your man, Chris, a.k.a. Blue Enforcer. I will definitely be checking back with y'all next week. I might clip a short out of this. And we're going to do some work because we're going to be getting ready for the last week of OTAs and heading into training camp. Thank y'all for tuning in. Hope y'all have a good rest of your night. And you know what? Tighten up, because that's all we know how to do. Good night, y'all.